The shares of telecom giant MTN breached 6 months highs on Thursday after Nigeria softens its house plans over alleged $8.1 billion FX saga, and who stole a whopping $104 million belonging to Liberia's central bank, plus Egypt to float $5 billion foreign currency bonds. Hello and welcome to the program. This is Business Incorporated with me, Bosin Omofai. Let's get started. Today's show with the news that the shares of MTN Group have surged to the highest in more than 6 months on the GSE, thanks to the Central Bank of Nigeria's softer stance over the allegation that the company illegally repatriated $8.1 billion from the country. Central Bank spokesman Nancy Kokorafor says MTN has provided additional information to the regulator that may lead to an equitable resolution to the sanctions meted out late last month. The 4 banks that were fined about $16 million by the regulator for enabling the transactions have also provided further details on the transactions that will be reviewed by the central bank. The latest development suggests there may be a way for Johannesburg-based MTN to make a deal with Nigeria, just as the company did 2 years ago when it negotiated $5.2 billion fine down to about $1 billion, plus a commitment to list the shares on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. So let's just tie that with the continental markets update. This Thursday here in Lagos, the composite index appears to be on a path to a soft recovery, about 0.09% gain. In today, lunchtime, South Africa was trading in the opposite direction. That's the GST index there for you at 56,409. While the EGX30, that's the Egyptian market, main index was positive by almost 1%. About midday Nigerian time. Kenyan Stock Exchange finished Wednesday at negative 1.2%. We have more story about Kenya fuel tax later on. But let's get on to the Middle East, where the Dubai Financial Markets Index appears to be taking the shine with close to 1% jump at lunchtime here in Lagos. All other Gulf indices were down except the Saudi Tadawul Index, which was trading in the flat line about 2 hours ago. You can see the Qatar Stock Exchange around 9766. And the Abu Dhabi but flat at 48.83. So let's cross over to the European stock markets, where stocks trading mostly higher today as investors appeared less concerned about the trade war between the U.S. and China. Daniel Koop of DWTV is ready for us at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange to tell us more about major headlines rocking the markets today. Thank you, Daniel. The first story that is rocking the market is what we call the whiff of money. Hackers stole $60 million from a Japanese virtual currency exchange called Zaif. So the question is, will this dent the appetite for Bitcoin and its siblings?
Yeah, exactly. What a bizarre story. Yeah, you mentioned it. Hackers have stolen $60 million from the Japanese virtual currency exchange ZAIF. The company said the hackers made off with 6,000 Bitcoins plus an unknown amount of Bitcoin cash. And following the hack, the company said it had reached an agreement to sell majority control of the exchange to another firm. If the deal goes through, the ZAIF says it'll use the funds to reimburse the customers. The hack proves that digital currency exchanges are not always safe. Earlier this year, we had another very bizarre case. The Japanese provider CoinCheck was hacked and losing Bitcoin worth $500 million. I'm glad I'm not investing my money in Bitcoins, and I was actually talking here to somebody at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, because there's always this question if maybe here in the future in Frankfurt, for example, we might also, see the Bitcoin being traded here. But so far, the statement, from the operator of the Frankfurt Stock Exchange is very clear. They're saying that for them, Bitcoin remains to be gambling money, and we're not going to see any kind of, trade here with Bitcoins at the stock exchange.
Well, okay, Daniel, I can hear you very well via this network. But if I'm giving you a phone call right now, hello, Daniel, are you on 4G or you're on 5G?
Well, to be quite honest, here inside of the stock exchange, you know, the signal is as bad. I mean, you don't even have sometimes a signal here. And, you know, that's really the deal. I mean, Germany wants to be such a high, you know, industrialized country. And you might have a good, at least, let's say, 4G network when you are in a big city. But once you leave the city or you go, for example, on a train, I was going lately for my parents' home. They live in the east of Germany here to Frankfurt, and pretty much I was for hours without a really good working network. So many people are saying, I mean, this can't be the case. There needs to be something done. And the German government, they're talking for a long time to make things better. We even now have a minister of state just in charge of this topic. So now there is this discussion about a 5G network. Many big companies have called that we need a good working 5G network here in the country. That's very interesting, for example, for car makers when you talk about autonomous driving, also virtual reality and Industry 4.0. They all would depend on a good working 5G network. So now we are getting a statement from the head of the German Chancellery. That's the, you know, the head of the, I would say, the German White House, let's call it like that. And he has stated that it's not realistic because it's simply too expensive at the moment to provide Germany with a very, you know, with wide coverage, at least, of a 5G network. So yeah, let's see how things would be developed about this issue. And yeah, as I said, if you give me a call on my cell phone here, I would probably not even receive it. So we better talk here on TV. That's easier.
No. Hold on, Daniel. I've got to reach you because we got a deal yesterday about that wine after work, having some white wine and red wine. So I need to be able to call you. 4G in Nigeria, 4G or 5G in Germany. We've got to find a way to relate. If not, we've got to do it the old-fashioned way of waiting for me at the train station. Keep that in mind. But let's talk about the train that is moving, which is the Brexit deadline. How is the market digesting what is the talk going on in Salzburg as we speak? What are you hearing from investors about this meeting?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the head of the big European countries there in Salzburg, beautiful city, by the way, and are meeting there. They have a couple of issues that are on the agenda. They're also talking, for example, about the refugee situation at the moment. But of course, also Brexit remains a big issue. We had Theresa May there speaking yesterday, and she was, you know, giving a speech there to the other heads of states. And well, what we are hearing that 80% of the Brexit deal seems to be managed, but there are still very important questions that have not been managed, and where we are still waiting, you know, for a deal. The big issue remains to be the border of Ireland and you know, Northern Ireland. You know, how this is going to work in the future. How will trade work in this area? Because they don't want to have, you know, like a real border, you know, there in place. So yeah, there are still lots of issues. We are now getting word, I just saw this a couple of minutes on the wires, that in mid-November there's going to be probably the most crucial Brexit summit taking place. It's going to take place in Brussels, because we have to remember, until the end of November, and that's really not a lot of time, they have to, you know, have this deal in place, because otherwise it would not work, you know, with the deadlines to get everything done by the end of March, you know, because that's the timing when Britain wants to leave the European Union. By the way, we just talked about wine. I read an interesting article. They had Austrian wine, Austrian red wine there on the menu yesterday. I haven't tried that, but yeah, if you come over here, you know, we might try that as well.
I need the picture. You getting me out of Lagos. You getting me out of Lagos, but I need to, when the weather tip us up a little bit. Thank you, Daniel. Have a great day, and let's get together tomorrow, Friday, and do it again.